Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are from group 7, the last group of this subject. We presented our last material, which is PR in Crisis Management. Before we start, let me introduce myself. I'm Clara Nara, and my partners are Aldio Fernanda and Dina Khasana. So let's get started with our material today.
What is crisis management? Crisis management is a situation that occurs suddenly and unexpectedly that can threaten the survival of stakeholders and the company's ability to able to save itself from a crisis. The characteristics of the management crisis are certainly inadequate information, weak control, and external observation. Next.
Next is factors that affect crisis management happen. First one is financial crisis. Lack of funds, losses, bankruptcy, debt that causes the company to become unstable. Next is technological crisis. It is a corporate communications technology has been damaged or even hijacked. Next is natural crisis. Natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, pandemics such as COVID-19. Next is malevolence crisis. It is a crime from outside the company. Next is workspace crisis. It's a riot between employees, employee lawsuit against the company.
The next is stage of crisis management. So these are the stages of the crisis management. The first one is prodromal stage, which is a warning stage. The crisis that occurs at this stage is sometimes ignored by the company, seems to be still running normally. The prodromal stage usually appears in one of these three forms. The first one is very clearly, for example, employees ask for a salary increase, company equipment is damaged, and dark leaflets appear in the community and public. And the second is foggy or deregulation, competitors appear and houses appear. And the last is completely invisible, such as the loss suffered by the company is still considered reasonable by the company. And then the second stage is acute stage, which is the crisis has occurred. Stage occurs because of the failure to detect and deal with the symptom of a crisis that occurred in the prodromal stage. And then the third stage is chronic stage, is the cleanup phase or recovery phase. And the last is resolution stage. So what is the role of PR in this case? Generally, public relations professionals play a major role in this process by helping to create messages for the public that help to manage the crisis and reduce the harmful effect on the reputation of the business or individual involved in the crisis. But when a crisis occurs, stakeholders are the ones who will feel the biggest impact. Therefore, management must be able to provide a statement that shows concern and seriousness about the current crisis. Then, what should be done by PR when crisis management occurs? All PR have to do is prepare for these three phases. The first stages of phase of crisis management is pre-crisis, the second is crisis responses or during the crisis, and the last is post-crisis or after the crisis. The first one is pre-crisis. Pre-crisis is the stage where the crisis has not occurred, but preparation needs to be made so that when a crisis occurs in the future, all relevant parties know what to do. This stage is divided into two parts. The first one is preparation. In this section, management forms a team for a crisis management, then improve management support for this crisis response plan. The most important thing later in this section is identifying organizational company weaknesses, and finally training staff to deal with crisis. And the second part is planning. In this part, management has started to plan message, analyze the target audience, develop a way to communicate the message, and determine what responsibilities are carried out by the company when a crisis occurs. And then the second phase is crisis responses, or during the crisis. It's the stage that occurs when the crisis has occurred and begins to involve parties who overcome the crisis that is befalling and the organization or company. There are three parts to do in this stage. The first one is to collect. In this section, collect is management conduct, background observation on the crisis that occur, assigns a spokesperson, find short and long-term problems. And then the second part is the package, where at this stage, the management shows information relevant to the current crisis conditions and tells the truth to the stakeholders who have experiencing the impact of this crisis and place themselves as the victim of the crisis and shows sympathy. And the last section is convey, is conveying, which is the part where the messages is conveyed accurately and quickly and firmly to the media. And then the last phase is post-crisis, or after the crisis is the last stage when the crisis has occurred. In this stage, management evaluate the crisis management strategy that has been carried out, whether it has had a significant impact or does it need improvement.
Next one is strategy to overcome crisis. The first strategy is dynamic strategy. The steps taken for this strategy are macro and can change the character of the organization. For example, by carrying out mergers and acquisitions, new investments, selling shares, launching new products, holding power, and throwing new issues to divert attention. Next strategy is defensive strategy. It measures to buy time, do nothing, and fortify oneself strongly. Next strategy is adaptive strategy, with steps to change policies, operational modifications, compromises, and straighten the image. Next.
So in conclusion, these are the framework how to operate the crisis management.
Okay, how to prevent? 1. Anticipate and have a plan. 2. Always tell the truth. 3. Select the right spokesperson. 4. Stop rumors and miscommunication. Next.
And that's it, a PR in crisis management. Thank you guys for watching our video. And if you have any question, just raise your hand. Thank you very much.